everyone! It's Miss Angela from the Fort Worth Public Library. Welcome back to another Fort Worth Nature Center Discovery Club Storytime. Today we are talking about turtles! Our song comes from a poem by a poet named Vachelle Lindsay who wrote it in 1920. And I'm going to sing it to the tune, it's kind of like I'm a Little Teapot. And first I'm going to sing it with my puppet, and then we're going to do it with hand motions. Ready? There was a little turtle, he lived in a box. He swam in a puddle, he climbed on the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito, he snapped at a flea. He snapped at a minnow and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito, he caught the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. All right, let's put some motions to it. You'll make your turtle by putting one hand out flat and putting the other hand on top, so your thumbs are going in opposite directions. Now, your turtle's going to live in a box, so we can make a box with our fingers, swim in a puddle, climb on some rocks, and then snap at the mosquito, the flea, the minnow, and then to snap at yourself, you're going to have to turn your turtle around like that. Okay, let's do it. First, we'll sing it pretty slow. There was a little turtle, he lived in a box. He swam in a puddle, he climbed on the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito, he snapped at a flea. He snapped at a minnow and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito, he caught the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. Now let's do it one more time. There was a little turtle, he lived in a box. He swam in a puddle, he climbed on the rocks. He snapped at a mosquito, he snapped at a flea. He snapped at a minnow and he snapped at me. He caught the mosquito, he caught the flea. He caught the minnow, but he didn't catch me. Great job! Now, turtles are generally thought of across the world as being wise, steady creatures. Maybe something about the slowness of their movement, the wrinkles on their face, and how long they live. In stories from many cultures, the world is said to rest on the back of a giant turtle. There are also stories from around the world about turtles trying to fly. This is one of those stories. It comes from the northern part of South Sudan, and it's called The Turtle and the Birds. Once upon a time, Turtle got hungry, very hungry. He saw his friend Eagle flying past and called out, "My friend Eagle, I'm very hungry. I wonder if you could help me out with something I could eat." So the Eagle told him, "Oh, my friend, you are a lucky guy. We are preparing ourselves to go for a party. All of us birds have been invited to a big party in the sky. If you want, you can go together with us." "But Eagle, all you birds have wings. How could I go?" "My friend, don't be afraid," said Eagle. "You know that all your friends are birds and I'm one of them, so we can donate feathers for you one by one. We can gather them all in one place and make wings for you so you can fly with us." She called the rest of the birds and each donated a feather and a feather and a feather for Turtle. Then when they collected enough, they made his wings, and Turtle was surprised to find that he could fly very well. As the birds and Turtle flew toward the sky, Turtle said, "Now that I have wings, I need a new name. My bird name will be Kulu." Now, Kulu means all or everything. "When we get back down to the ground, you can call me Turtle again." They said, "Okay, Kulu." They were pleased to have their friend joining them in the sky, but they didn't know that Turtle had a plan. When they reached the sky, they were welcomed, and they sat down at a large table. Their hosts cooked food for them, many, many delicious things to eat. Turtle was sitting at the front. He looked beautiful, and his wings were very unique because the feathers had all come from different birds. The sky people asked Turtle, "What kind of bird are you who looks so different from any other kind of bird we've ever seen?" And Turtle asked in reply, "This food, who is it for?" They replied, "This food is for Kulu." "I am the bird called Kulu," said Turtle. "Bring all the food to me." So they brought the food in front of Turtle, and he ate it all alone. He ate and ate until he got full and did not share any with his friends the birds. The birds said to each other, "This turtle now, see what he is doing to us. He is eating up all of our food." Owl said, "We helped the turtle come here yesterday, and today he's turned against us. Let each of us take their feather back from Turtle." The first bird that went to him was Eagle. She told him, "Turtle, I want my feather back." "You want your feather? Then take it. I don't need it anymore." So the Eagle took its feather, and then the Owl came to him and told him, "I want my feather." And Turtle said to him, "You want your feather? Take it." So Owl took his feather, and Turtle said, "Why don't you just take all of the feathers back to the birds and stop interrupting me while I'm eating?" The Owl said, "No problem. Take them off and give them to me." So Turtle removed all the feathers and kept eating, not thinking about how he would return to Earth. After a couple of days, Turtle woke up from a nap and looked around. He found that all the birds had gone. Turtle looked around and saw the sky people. He asked them, "Where have all the birds gone?" "The birds? Oh, they have returned to Earth." Turtle began to get scared, and he asked them, "How can I return to Earth?" The sky people said, "Well, you must have wings, of course." Just then, Turtle spotted Duck, the only bird who hadn't left yet. He said, "Duck, help me return to Earth." Duck said, "How can I help you, Turtle? I only have enough feathers for myself." Turtle said, Once you get to the Earth, can you ask my wife to get all of the pillows and blankets from our home and put them on the roof so that when I jump from the sky, I will fall on something soft?" Duck said, "No problem. I will tell her." But when Duck reached the Earth, he was very, very hungry because Turtle had eaten all of the food in the sky. He went to his pond to find some food and forgot all about Turtle. When Turtle jumped from the sky, he landed on the roof of his house. His wife heard a big noise and found that Turtle's shell had broken into many pieces. She took him to a doctor right away. The doctor sewed them back together, and then Turtle went home in one piece. And that's why today you see that Turtle has a divided shell, because it was broken and put back together. And that's also why Turtle has never tried to fly again. The end. Now it's time to pass it over to Mr. Michael at the Nature Center to tell you more about turtles. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Good morning, everyone. This is Michael Perez with the Fort Worth Nature Center and Refuge. So glad you can join us this morning for our Discovery Club. It's great to have you back. I want to say thank you to Miss Angela for that story time. Miss Angela, it's been great working with you from the Fort Worth Public Library and sharing those story times and adding just a little bit more to these Discovery Clubs. So thank you so much. Now, if I remember right, this is where it all started. When we started doing these virtual Discovery Clubs, we did it here in this parking lot. Right behind me is the West Fork of the Trinity River. And we talked about alligators. And it's been that long since we talked about reptiles. So this is a great time to talk about reptiles because it's the summer months and they like the warmth. So we're going to continue on and talk about turtles and reptiles. So as we do every week, we're going to talk about what a turtle is, what group it represents. We'll talk a little bit about adaptations and revisit that from that very first week. And then I have a friend I want to show you and introduce you to. So that's what's on our agenda today. So go ahead and have a seat and let's learn about turtles. Now, as I said, we're going to talk about the group they're in. So turtles are in the group called reptiles. Now, reptiles are one of 5 vertebrate groups that we have. And as we said in previous Discovery Clubs, a vertebrate is an animal with a backbone. And there are 5 members of that group. Reptiles, which we'll be talking about today, fish, amphibians, birds, and mammals. So those are the vertebrates. Now, in order to be a vertebrate, you must have a backbone. Now, when you look at a turtle, in particular a turtle shell, you may think, well, I don't see a backbone. Or, in the case of this alligator snapping turtle, you may see this ridge right here and think, there's its backbone, but that's actually not its backbone. You'd have to look on the inside. So on the inside of this alligator snapping turtle, you can see the backbone. So that's a backbone, and they're physically attached to the turtle. So turtles can't come out of their shell. Only in cartoons can turtles come out of their shell, not in real life. So turtles are vertebrates, and we'll talk more about this shell in just a second. So let's talk about the characteristics of a reptile. Now, first of all, reptiles are cold-blooded. That basically means that their body temperature is based on the environment in which they're around. So on a day like today, pretty warm, so they're going to be pretty warm. Now, in order for them to cool off, they would have to jump into the water and swim, or get under a tree, or in some cases for other turtles, dig themselves underground, because underground it's a little cooler than it is above the ground. So that's something to keep in mind. So reptiles, like turtles, are cold-blooded. So they can't change their body temperature. And then if they get too cold, they'll sit on a log that's sitting near the base of a river, or a stone, a rock of some sort, and sit on top, and that's their way to warm up. So cold-blooded animals like turtles and reptiles, they cannot change their body temperature like you and I can. We're warm-blooded, which means when we get hot, like right now, we start to sweat. Yuck, right? But it's important because that means our body's working, and that's our way of cooling off. So we're different than reptiles. We are warm-blooded, they're cold-blooded. Other things about reptiles is they're covered in scales. Now, mammals, we have hair on our bodies, and birds have feathers, but reptiles have dry, scaly skin. And the one cool thing about their scaly skin is that it's so tight together, it actually holds all their moisture in their body. And this is a very good benefit, especially whenever they live in places that are dry and there's not a lot of moisture. So they can keep all that moisture in their body and stay healthy. So reptiles are cold-blooded. They have dry, scaly skin. And also it can be protection for them. Especially you think about alligators that have the thick scales on their back. Again, it provides protection for their body inside, and then just for potential danger and so forth. So they have dry, scaly skin. They're cold-blooded. And they lay eggs. Now, not all reptiles, they lay eggs, but there are some reptiles that will give birth to live young. But for the most part, across the board, reptiles lay eggs. And their eggs are a little different than most eggs you are used to. For example, you may go to the grocery store and see eggs, and your mom and your dad cook eggs, and you drop it, oh, it busted and made a big old mess. Well, reptile eggs are a little different. They have a nice leathery shell around that to protect the inside of in the egg, the baby, because whenever she's depositing eggs, sometimes it hits the hard ground, especially our land turtles out here that are digging holes to lay their eggs. The soil and the ground can be pretty hard. So having a nice leathery shell around it is very helpful. So those are some characteristics of reptiles. Now, there are a lot of members of reptiles. We talked about alligators. We're going to talk about turtles today. You also have lizards and things like that. So there are a lot of representatives in that reptile group. But we're going to be focusing on turtles. Now, there are a couple different types of turtles we have in the state of Texas. We're going to focus mainly here in the Fort Worth area. And we have two types of turtles. And it's based on kind of where they live. So the two turtles we're going to focus on, or groups we're going to talk about, are land turtles and freshwater turtles, or aquatic turtles. And each one of them is designed in such a way to survive in its habitat. So I have a shell here. Well, I have two. I have this one right here, alligator snappers, which are used to living in the water, but also have this shell here of an aquatic turtle. Now, you can look at a turtle and tell where it lives, whether if it's on land or in water. So if you look at this shell here, yeah, it's curved, and you can probably see that, but relatively speaking, it's pretty flat there. So in order to live in an aquatic system, such as a river like behind me, it has to be relatively flat so it can swim through the water with greater ease. Also, the feet on an aquatic turtle are flat, and they also have some webbing between their toes. That allows them to paddle through the water. So they're totally equipped for living in the water. Now I'm going to show you a land turtle in a bit, but let's describe him real quick. Their shells are different. They're more domed up, okay, because they're on land. And also their feet are a little bit designed a little different. Because they're not swimming, they don't need that. They're walking on the ground, so they need claws. So aquatic turtles, you do this with me, guys. Aquatic turtles have paddles, so you can paddle. Everybody paddle. Paddle like an aquatic turtle, okay? You spread those webbed toes out. Now, if you're a land turtle, you have claws. So let's make some claws. Everybody got some claws on? Okay, so we're walking. You don't have to look mean like I am. We're a nice turtle, okay? So let's smile. Okay, so those claws allow them to grip into the ground and help them move. So high domed up shell and claws for a land turtle. More of a flattened shell and flat feet, paddles with toes that have webs between them to help them to paddle through the water. So we have land turtles, and we also have aquatic turtles. Now, turtles are covered in a shell, and this shell is very, very important. Let's talk about adaptations. Now, adaptations are things, well, let's back up. The best definition of adaptation are physical traits or behaviors that allows an animal to survive in its ecosystem, its habitat, okay? So one of the cool adaptations that turtles have are these really hard shells. Pretty loud, right? So these shells allow protection. All the insides of the turtle are inside of the shell. And as I showed you earlier, the backbone, it's physically attached, so it can't come out, okay? So this hard shell allows it to have protection from any potential danger. The other adaptation that turtles have is a long neck. Did you know they have long necks? And you think about it, turtles aren't designed for speed, right? Now if they're swimming, they can probably move pretty quick. And you'd be surprised how fast they can be on land if you're not paying attention. I have one right here, but he's confined. But they're not designed for speed. You know, they're carrying this big old shell. Imagine you carrying your bedroom, you know, on your back. Whoa. You couldn't get around very easily. So this shell's very protective for them. But they have that long neck because they have to reach out for food. So they can't just run and grab a grasshopper or grab whatever their food is, especially if they're hunting. So being still and sticking that long head out so you can grab food is very advantageous. Now their feet are designed for the environment in which they are, whether it be claws or flat foot, to swim, to crawl, and dig. So that's another cool adaptation. A really even cooler adaptation, which we're going to learn about more with the box turtle and why it's called a box turtle just in a minute. So hold on tight for that. So turtles have many different adaptations that allow them to survive. So even though they're relatively slow and have these heavy shells, they have some really cool adaptations that allow them to survive. Now here at the Nature Center, we have lots of different species of turtles. We have spiny softshell, which if you happen to watch the Wednesday Walk a couple weeks ago, we came across one of those spiny softshell shells where the shell itself is more a thick, leathery feel to it. And then we have red ear sliders. We have common snapping turtles. I haven't seen an alligator snapping turtle, but they're out there. They're out there. And then we also have land turtles like the three-toed box turtle and the ornate box turtle. Now, speaking of box turtles, I have a box turtle here to show you. Look at him. He's boxed in, not completely. You can kind of see his nose. See his nose there? His head? So right now he's in a position he's not sure of. Earlier I had him out. His arms, his head were out. He was fine. But let's talk about box turtles. I'm in a new location because the sun was really bright. So change locations for you so you can see me better and see the box turtle a little bit better. Now box turtles have really cool adaptations. Now first and foremost, this right here, he has two parts of his shell. He has top and the bottom. The top is called a carapace. Can you say carapace? Great. And the bottom is called a plastron. That's right, you got it. Plastron. On his plastron, he has this little attachment right here, part of his plastron, where he can open and close. And clearly, you can see, he's got it closed right now. Now he's peeking through. He'll come out in a second. I'll tickle him up. Coochie, 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 coo. Coochie, coochie, coo. Maybe he'll come out, maybe not. So that's a really cool adaptation. A way for him to survive in his environment by hiding himself. Not all turtles can do that. If I did it with some of the shell I had earlier, the aquatic turtle shell, it wouldn't be able to bend like that. So that's a cool adaptation for this box turtle, and why they call them box turtles. He has other adaptations. He has a really long neck. Turtles are not known for their speed, right? So being able to reach out and grab food that may be far away is helpful. Also, if he goes upside down and then his carapace is down on the ground, he can maybe get stuck. So having a long head helps him push himself over. And as soon as I said long head, he started to come out. So there he goes. Let's give him a second to get comfortable and come out. So long neck to help him grab food and help him get on his plastron. The hard shell is a great adaptation. His claws, are adapted to walking on ground, on land, help him dig underground, especially on a hot day like today. He can dig himself underground and stay cool. So that's another cool adaptation that this turtle has. Get a little closer. His mouth, if you look at his mouth, he kind of has like a beak, like a bird, like a hawk. It's very hard because he doesn't have any teeth, and it helps him to chew his food. Now, speaking of food, he is an omnivore, which means he likes to eat veggies and he likes to eat meat. It's kind of like my son. My son, if you're watching out there, same way. You're just like this guy. You're an omnivore. You eat your veggies, you eat your meat. He likes that too. So he'll eat mushrooms and plant material. Then he'll also eat crickets, grasshoppers, earthworms, things like that. I hear a lizard over here. That's got my attention real quick. And look, he's looking over there too. He's like, hey, there's a lizard over there. Another fellow reptile. So that's pretty cool. So this guy here has lots of cool adaptations. And just fun to have too. These are great education animals. We use these animals strictly for education, where we would have people come here. We go out to the community and talk to the public about wildlife. So now he's getting comfortable with you guys. He's getting comfortable. He's ready to come out and say hi. Now I keep saying he. Actually, this is a female. When it comes to box turtles, no, I'm sorry, it is a male. Let me back up. It is a male because he has orange on his front arms. He has a reddish orange eye, and then he has also orange around his mouth too. Like he's gotten, like, boys are messy, right? We're messy. It looks like he has some Cheetos. He's eating some Cheetos and he's wiping up his mouth. He's getting the Cheeto residue all over himself and around his mouth. So anyway, so this is a male. Girls have brown eye and don't have all that orange on their scales on their arms. So anyway, so that's a three-toed box turtle, and wanted you to see him up close. A part of our turtle program that we have here for the Discovery Club. So I want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Hopefully you learned a little bit about what reptiles are, get an appreciation for turtles, particularly this box turtle, and learn some of the different adaptations that aquatic turtles have versus land turtles, and it's turtles in general. Thank you, Miss Angela, for the story time again. Appreciate you and all that you do for us. And thanks for viewing. And next week we'll have another topic, and we're going to be sharing some information about animals and wildlife and their role that they play in our environment. So tune in next week. We'd love to have you. Hope you have a great rest of the day, a great week, and until we see you, have a good one. Bye-bye, guys.